All right. So again, I'm Sylvan Finger. I'm glad you're here.
So I should write that down.
Yeah, I didn't put it in the lesson here, of course, on the website. This is more my notes than your notes. This is what I hope to get through, but if I don't do it, then if you want to talk about something completely different, that's completely fine too. As I was going through all this and looking for links and things to talk about, realizing I only have an hour. Here's what I've come up with, and I'll explain why. And if you want to go something completely different or add something to it, I can do that too. Like I said, this is a guideline, and no one's getting any grades here. Did you get one for Taylor to your sister too? Yeah, go get one for your sister. So the whole idea is to first talk about I gotta share the screen here. Share. All right, so the idea is if I talk about how the internet works, and then how our computers and devices interact with it, the idea is hopefully we can use it safely. A lot of people just plug it in and just assume what they see is everything they know everything, but there's a whole lot actually going on. But it's in some ways fairly straightforward. And in some of that, the way they work, I don't know if you've gone to a website and asked about cookies. Do you approve of the cookies or not? I'll talk a little bit more of that.
No, because
You know about that one?
no, I just automatically, because it just sounds weird. So to me, I just automatically.
Okay.
Nope.
No. And then if I plan to spend most time on how to use email, I realized email, if you can do email, you can do just about anything else on a computer because you got to log into it. You got to manage your passwords. You got to organize the information that's given to you. And you get to manipulate that organization. You get to create your own document. I mean, your own email. You get to type it.
I have really good knowledge of my email. It's the PDFs to get them into the email.
So that'd be attachments. Yeah, I put that in the list too. So adding things to it. And then some closing remarks, and then of course logging out of the system, when and why that's important. And then just a quick overview of Google search. Internet searching has become fairly straightforward to use compared to what it was before, but it has changed over time. And so I figured it wouldn't hurt to do that. And then I just have some last thoughts to wrap everything up towards the end and some Q&A. Again, you did mention attachments, or especially PDFs.
Yeah, send them to my daughter in PDF. But
Right.
it could be, okay, I have, even though it's a laptop, it's a very old laptop.
Okay.
And it just may not be capable of the PDFs for what they're asking for ARP.
Correct. So if it's Windows 7 or earlier, the whole print to PDF, like most computers have today. So I believe I can't be right. No, it has to be XP. I don't know. That's a good question. I have that trouble with the Office and Corning. They don't have the newer ones.
And when I send them, it says it cannot send, not adequate to send.
Well,
so I'm thinking that my computer's not compatible.
That could be. I think I'll show you what I do and see if it's something similar. And then we'll just go from there. If it's not, and we're not getting anywhere, you could do that too. Or another thing is, I'm only here on usually Mondays and Wednesdays.
Okay, so Monday or Wednesday?
If you wanted to stop by or just let me know ahead of time.
Well, I would if I started church here, then I'd
All right.
know ahead of time.
All right.
Can we come and
no more cookies? And then we could work that out. Right? Yeah, there's always room for sugar at the age of 2, especially starting at the age of 2, right? All right, so how the internet works. So I got this picture up here. Um, um, you can see there's you got the globe in the center, and then the big boxes in the back are the servers, and then you got the computers in between. And there's no direct lines or anything. It's just all kind of a web of things connected.
Yeah,
It used to be a hard line that everything was connected to, and then once they've mastered the wireless internet, whether it's 5G from your wireless towers or your router at home, it's all connected, and it pretty much all works the same way. Each computer is given a number, an IP address, like a phone number, and each device is given a number. So the servers, they have a number too. Everyone has a phone number, and so it's almost like when you connect to the internet, you're making all these phone calls, and everything's just connected. I put this, I guess it's a 90s video. Some people say it's cheesy, but I think it does a great job. How you see there's like a robot sending where all these boxes need to go. So all the information is sent out in packets. When you send an email, it's not like one big giant package that moves somewhere else. It's a bunch of really small packets that get sent out to another location. They all get sent to the same address and the same phone number, and they hopefully get there. But if it doesn't, it sends a message back to the computer saying I haven't received the rest of the packages yet. Send some more of the missing packages, and I'll just keep going out. And now it does this all practically instantly, which is quite fascinating. The interesting thing about this, though, is especially when it was first created, is any of those packages, any device connected to the internet anywhere in the world could read whatever's flowing through there. So if you're sending an email out, well, anyone could read your email. If you were web browsing, you could send it. Anyone who's monitoring it and trying to see what's going on in there, they could see what's passing by. But now pretty much everything is sent securely. You can see it in your web address. Here it is. So you got nice. I can highlight it. It used to be just HTTP, but now HTTPS. I didn't put that in the notes, but I can later if you want.
it's right up here.
All right, it's in the links here too. You notice everything has HTTPS. Ever since then, that S stands for secure. So anything that gets sent to that address with that format, I guess you could say, that call, that command, because YouTube is not a phone number. So that would be, it'd be another set of digits. It doesn't have to be any. It's a combination of numbers and dots. So YouTube represents the IP address of YouTube, and HTTP address just calls out, hey, wherever is named, whatever IP address is named YouTube, send this information there. And so the S stands for secure, and so now any of the information sent back and forth, it's got an encrypted code on it, and all the and it's sent securely. Truth be told, I could care less if someone is watching me telling me, you're watching a cheesy 90s video about the internet, package being sent. This is a picture of a firewall. So there's also a number of what port the information needs to go into for the information to actually pass through the device. But it's interesting what's all going on behind the backgrounds. But so it's all sent securely, which is great. But sometimes if you're browsing the web, and especially Google Chrome that's my favorite browser, but pretty much all the browsers now are pretty solid. Internet Explorer is old. It's not been replaced with Edge. Safari has always been great. That's a Mac device, but it sounds like you're a PC person.
What is the best tablet brand? My daughter has
So-
tablet because she says it's the easiest to use.
And it depends who you ask. PC lovers say PCs are easy to use. Mac lovers say they're easy to use. And then there's Chromebooks now too. You can't do as much with them, and people who are used to either of those devices, PCs or Macs, generally have a hard time using Chromebooks because there's not as many options available to you. More options available than an Android phone, but it's basically
I never did a Chrome because my grandchildren use it for school and they're so lame.
you can't. I haven't used it much. I've kind of demoed it, but that's as far as I've gone.
Yeah.
And anytime when I see what it can do and I see what I need to do, and the Chromebooks never make the mark. Unless I went completely everything Google, instead of using Microsoft Office, I use Google Docs. Unless that was all I used, Chromebooks won't work for me. If you're just web browsing, that'd be fine, but you could also just web browse with your phone. So, so there's that. So what's the best computers? It keeps changing. I know Dells weren't that great when they first came out, but more and more I'm starting to fall in love with them. You can customize them to do whatever you want, especially if you know what you're ordering.
Ease for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing.
All right.
The easiness to use it and
All right.
figure it out. Because they don't come with books no more.
No, but almost everything is online. And the interesting about YouTube is you can pretty much Google anything now for YouTube and get an answer, whether it's started with PC stuff. But now it's like you can find things to fix your cars or see a recipe, like all these classes you could probably find a YouTube video for. Whether they're great or not, or what you're looking for is a whole nother answer, but
definitely Google them.
Right. All right. So my recommendation, what was told to me is anything with a solid state drive. And not one of those spinning disk drives. So a solid state drive, it's SSD. And so no hard drives attached to it. If you've got something attached to it, that means it's just going to slow it down. It's great if you want to store some media and information, but even this laptop I'm using right now, there's no spinning disk in it, and it works great. The Dell computer I have, it's 5 years old. Again, no, it's the same setup, no spinning disk in it, just a solid state hard drive where it means it reads everything instantly. It doesn't have to spin the disk and find all the information before you turn it on before the computer's finally load. And 5 years later, it still works great. It's a little slower, but it still works great. It's to be told not that much slower. I can still work with it, and I can see, me even using it for another 10 years, even though Microsoft now is saying, if you're going to go with Microsoft, you want it to be already a Windows 11. I think all the computers now are saying that. As you can see on my desktop here, I'm not using Windows 11 yet, mainly because that means I have to get all the rest of the devices communicating with each other, and I'm not ready to make that leap yet.
Well, see, because my daughter uses Apple, so her computer and her tablet are interfaced within each other just automatically.
Yeah, and that is the nice thing about the Mac world is that it is all interconnected, and I'm noticing my tablet even, it's like searching for another device it wants another Mac device to talk to. It doesn't want to talk to anything else. And sometimes that's great, and if you do live in the Mac world, you got that benefit. I know the Samsung devices would be a similar thing on the PC end. Samsung TV, Samsung phones. I don't know about PCs.
Well, I always use laptop. The problem with mine right now is that my dog ate its cord. It wasn't going to help me to bring it.
Oh, I see.
But
and you can buy new cores as long as it has the same readings on that.
Use the electrical tape and tape the little sucker back up.
As long as you got a good wired pretty good, you should be okay.
But it's more that it's so old, it takes forever.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
And I have had to take it apart before and try to figure out what was going wrong, clean it out, all the dust and say,
Right.
okay, let's do it again.
I thought about doing that in this class, but I figured, like I said, the computers now, you shouldn't have to touch them for a while. I did have to touch that one. I said I'm happy with. I had to add more memory to it. But just because almost everything now, I think 16 is the minimum 4 GB of memory. And the fancier computers obviously want a whole lot. You get a whole
Well, my
lot
son,
more,
he
but
built his own, so,
um,
yeah.
so your son, well, have you talked to your son about a good suggestion?
Do you know, his is for me to go try them all out.
Uh, I would say I would tell him, have him suggest one to you. If you, I could do the same thing.
He won't,
I could suggest one to you.
he won't, because his is that what he feels is good,
Uh-huh.
he said that, like, his sister doesn't.
Oh, I see.
Because he,
Well, she's a Mac person though, so she's a Mac person though, so it's a different, right.
is it Apple, is it Mac?
It's the same thing. Yeah, Macintosh, yeah.
Okay.
That's the logo basically.
So she's an Apple person.
Mm-hmm.
He's, it- it- he just builds them
I
from
see.
the beginning. He does
Right.
not like, he does not, he's got his, work tablets, and I think he's got a personal tablet.
Mhm.
But his is mostly, he prefers the big computer screen and go from there. He'll sit in his
Yeah.
room and work on the computer.
Right,
Bill.
right. Yeah,
He has me.
right, right, yeah. I have built my own computer once before, and that was nice. I had more time just out of high school. Now that I changed careers and doing something completely different, and at times a whole nother. And I have young kids. That's my, I guess you could say hobby now. It's my kids, not the
Yes.
or not gaming or anything.
My son has to
But
be.
right, so it makes a difference. But a lot of the concepts are the same. But yeah, I'd have to see what's out there, and maybe this Black Friday or next Amazon special, there might have something good come out.
Memorial weekend, Best Buy
Yeah.
had really good sales on the computers,
Uh-huh.
for the laptops, but my daughter got it online because she found that she could do it online, the same computer that was in the store for, I think it's 200, 300 less.
Yeah, sometimes that too. I got the one I'm using now from Amazon.
Mm.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
so
yeah,
Amazon
and
computers are okay, huh?
yeah, this one's a Asus. This one I got knowing that this is my work. This is my my multimedia machine. So I learned gaming computers. It can also be multimedia machines. But like I said, my little box for my Dell computer for my office, it works just fine for just the basics. Right. So so the interesting about Dell is you can't go to Best Buy and get a Dell. You have to go to Dell
Mhm.
within themselves. There are other nice machines. From where I stand, HP used to be great, not so much anymore. A lot of the main lines out there.
No,
Um,
and mine is an HP and it just, I can't get the part, I can't take it anywhere to get the problems fixed.
Right. All right. It's too old.
Well,
Right.
it's not even just that it's too old, it's, you could take it around, no,
Huh.
we don't work on them, we don't work on them, we don't want
Huh.
to work on 'em.
Yeah, I have to see what it is. But when you're saying it's old, yeah, we
Yeah.
got to get it.
It's, let's just say it's probably a good over 5 years,
Right.
maybe more, a lot
Right.
more.
Well, yeah, I would imagine it's a lot more than that one. But it also depends what was in it when you bought it too. Because when you buy a computer, you kind of want it to be more on the future proof. I find it want to be on the future proof end. So
$300 Walmart one, what can I say?
Right? Yeah, this one actually, this one I'm using now, it cost me $1,000, which was a pretty good bargain for a gaming, a computer that was classified as gaming. But so was my office computer, and that's not, it wasn't a gaming machine, but because I had a big screen and a custom box and some, everything was in pieces, it was all separate. The screen was, like a third of the cost. Um,
See, my thing is that I don't want a big screen because it takes up space.
right?
That's why I like my tablet.
Oh, I see.
Plus, I
Yeah.
can take it.
Right? And that is the nice thing about tablets. They're cheaper to use, and you can always just add a keyboard, wireless keyboard if you wanted to for like $20 if you wanted,
Well,
which is
the
not
thing
bad at
of it
all.
is, because I work in the veterinary clinic, now,
Mhm.
I need to take the computer because I also have to do write-ups.
Oh, I see.
So that's why I need a good computer.
You do need a laptop.
Yeah.
Like I've come to the point
And
where
I
like
got around
I
the
have to,
screen and everything.
right? Right. Yeah. And a lot of people do laptops now instead of the desktop computers, unless you are a gamer or something. Um, so that one I'll put a pin in it and pin it down. If I could, thank you. Um, so entry level PC. Um, yeah, I'll have to. Probably won't spend too much time doing that, but I'm sure a quick 30 minutes I can see what's out there, what they're going for, and where the best prices seem to be coming from.
Well, and my problem is I like to buy local, not Walmart, because I
I
don't
see.
like their store.
Well, I don't like their computer, so.
I don't like the.
All right.
I was there.
Oh,
when
I see.
first got into this area. Or 30 years ago,
Oh, wow.
and I did not like the attitude of the management part. So
All
as a
right.
result, I didn't last there very long.
It just probably means you have bigger aspirations than what the people there. Yeah, they're really about the bottom line dollar, and that's
Well,
pretty much it.
they have zero respect for the people who work there. Zero.
Well, I can see that too. Yeah.
You can work as hard as you want and you still get a quarter for your pay increase.
Wow.
It's like,
That's crazy.
have you
Yeah.
considered that is good?
Right? Yeah. Um, yeah, wait, before I get too off track. So, cookies,
Mhm.
that's one reason why I got Brax Snook cookies. Why do they call cookies for a web browser what they call them? I'm not terribly sure. When I was building a website or learning how to do that and come up with how a cookie works, there's also this link. You got a ball? Okay. Yeah, do it. No, go to mommy. Not right now, okay? Um, there it is. Just to kind of compare it through, because I notice when I talk to people about cookies, I try to explain it to them and they don't get it. So I'm trying to do a little visual here. I mean, I imagine everyone can imagine when you're coding, you just have lines of information that you're trying to send out. And when I was learning about how cookies work, I mean, it's just information that is stored on the device you're using and it communicates with the device it's trying to connect to. So usually the internet. So I was told cookies came around, especially when it came to shopping online. So say you're like we're talking about computers. Okay, we're looking at a computer and you come across one that you like and you want to save it for later so you can put it in your cart. Well, in order to put it in your cart, um, information has to be saved on your computer. Unless you sign up with an account with that organization.
They send you all kinds of.
Right? And then they send you out information once they get your information. But just to web browse before you give them any information, except that you want to add this to your cart. To say do that to your cart, then it says to your computer. Well, it's able to do that by sending a cookie to your computer to say, hey, I like this thing. And so what does the cookie do? So it has I'm paraphrasing what's written below in the notes, but so there's a cookie that has a name of what it's supposed to do. And then there's, what's in it. So what's the value? So that would be probably like the ID number of the computer that you want to buy, at least for them, what the ID number is for them. And then they put a time on it, how long they want it to stay in your cart. They might keep it in there for a week. Well, and then if you leave it in there for a week and you don't get back to it, well, then it'll expire. And then when you go back to that website 2 weeks later, you're like, hey, where'd my cart go? Well, it expired because everything has a time limit on it. And then the cookie tells, and then there's information of where the cookie is associated with. So what part of the website is it working with, and then what is the name of the website? And then is this cookie supposed to be communicated securely? That's the last attribute. Again, everything now is pretty much sent encrypted in and out. But that wasn't always the case. So that's kind of one for information, but it's kind of nice to know. So, but what's interesting about cookies is people get creative over time, and so what has happened is that many big organizations, such as Google, they're like, oh well, you've saved PCs in on your computer, and that's what you seem to be looking at. But maybe you'd enjoy advertisements from other people who are having PCs, in case you haven't made up your mind because you've left you left that computer in your cart for over a week, yeah, a couple of days. So let me just keep sending you ads of things and about that, and you might be realizing as you're just looking at a blog about cooking, why is there an ad on a laptop? Well, Google has found, well, we could make cookies just to see what kind of information you're looking at. So then they're storing just for a period of time some information of just what you've been looking at lately. And they just pile all that information and then come out with an algorithm to figure out what would be great things to market for you. And overall, people get paid for this. But people get uncomfortable with web browsers and companies and websites tracking people's activity. It's pretty much. And so there was another website I was able to come across. It was interesting. O'Reilly's is a tech company, but if I remember right, it's going to ask me. There it is. So at the bottom, right when I got to this website, it's asking me, do I want to accept cookies or not?
See, I always say no.
You always say no. And so usually what you're saying no to is the tracking part. And so, because if you go to cookie settings, it'll say on here, it lists out into two categories. Do you need the strictly necessary cookies in order to use this website? Because you notice there's a sign in box at the top. So you can sign in and save your information or whatever services they have with them. And you can't do that without cookies. You couldn't do baking information without cookies. You couldn't shop. You couldn't do all these things because it's just for the two computers to work well. I mean, it won't be able to save information on your computer. But then you do have the option, as written below here, noticing you can opt out of sale and sharing targeted and advertising. So, why do I bring that here? So you can choose. So you can say these, it looks like they've they've highlighted into one big category, but then they've subdivided into two. So the performance cookies, they write here, these cookies allow us to count visits and traffic so sources can measure and improve the performance of our site and help us to know how much pages are most in these popular and how are the visitors moving around the site. So yeah, that's another thing that can track is this is the order the person was looking at the web pages. Could we do that better? Why are they looking at this? It's interesting how just not by talking to anyone or clicking on anything on purpose, someone's already analyzing what you're doing and thinking, how can we do that better or market to them or whether it's for your better interest or worse interest, that's what people wonder when people think of sales, they tend to think of worse interest. And then targeting cookies, these cookies may be set through our site by advertising partners, and they may be used by those companies to build profile interest to show you relevant alerts on other websites. They do not store directly personal information, but are based on uniquely identifying your browser and internet device. And so that's also interesting as well. So that one's more of the targeting. That's the advertising cookies. So so you got two people having interest here. You got the advertising companies and then just the people themselves. And so you could say, I think reject all. And then you could also say enable all. That's interesting. But it's completely up to you. Again, usually I'm the one that says yes, because again, I would really could care less if someone knows I'm looking at a tech website or not. But again, some people just don't want that information stored. And Europe's the one that got caught into that. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. Europe kind of realized, is it ethical for these computer companies to be tracking you? And so they're the ones that actually required websites. So anyone who has a website that communicates with the people in Europe have that bar at the bottom. And then so like for example, this company probably communicates with them and everyone around the world, and so it just by default sent it to everyone. Just interesting there, but if you say no and you're having a hard time using the site, if you said reject all cookies, you might want to see if maybe you need to change some of the settings somewhere to make sure that the basic ones are you can get through. Yeah, I like this picture because it shows a picture of someone using a web browser, send it to the server. The server makes a cookie, be stored on that person's computer, and then and learn to collect information, and then it sends information back to that server. That flow chart. But any questions there?
Nope.
Okay.
It's different than what I thought, but
right?
okay.
That's why I'm doing this. Hopefully, we can work smarter in here. So, generally, as far as email, that's the next thing on here. How to use email.
I got email.
Everyone tends to use it pretty well. Yeah, I realized I even had to have an email address in order to register for this class, which I thought was
Email must have everything anymore.
Right. I was like, it's not going to really work in order to collect information without that email section in there.
No, we're not.
All right. Well, we'll get to that too. So login. You said you already have one. So for me, I have quite a bit here. Add another account. That's what I could do. So I could make up an email address, and then enter in my password. As for storing information, you'll notice that, yeah, a lot of times you're asked by some program or another if you want to save that information. Everyone has different opinions. I know it's for some work related things. It's interesting. You know, it's like how do you talk about login information when you're recording a class? But but when you log in, so like for example, I'm using Chrome and I'm given the option, do I want to save? Chrome asks me, do I want to save the password I just used? And a lot of times you can say yes or no, or never ask that question ever again. You're more than welcome to save it. Again, Google's been very great if figuring out how to keep things secure. The only problem is if someone logs into your main account that you're storing all these passwords on, then they also have access to any other password that you've saved on that account. One way to go around that is to get a third party, Bye-bye, Daddy. Right, see you later. A third party.
If you don't save your passwords, then you just have to remember them, write them down.
Correct.
Remember 'em.
Correct. I'm trying to remember which link I'm at here. So what I like about Reddit, the platform Reddit or the website Reddit is you can ask it questions and oftentimes give a good answer. And so like I asked, you know, in the question for the year 2024, because things keep changing, what is the best password manager? Apparently this year it's Bitwarden. That wasn't available when I was looking for password managers, but you can go there. And so if I go to their website or do a Google search for Bitwarden, so how many people say yes to that one? So 48 people say that's great. It's probably even more, but that's just, you know, for the people answering that question. And then they can give pricing. Looks like these people are charging $4 a month. Oh, that's for business. And if you do personal, it's not telling me how many. Sometimes they're free and sometimes they're not, is what I'm saying. But it looks like for personal people, you know, not for a business who has 50 employees, just one person trying to use a computer, you can get it for free. And so how that works, it's something you add to your computer or even your mobile device. And so you have a whole password set up in there for that. And so you almost have two passwords. If you can remember the one password for that program, you usually have to log in every time.
Yeah,
But
I do have a question.
yeah,
If they have access to your passwords, do they also have the passwords to your banking system? That's
only if you save it for that. And you can.
No, I have to enter.
And truth be told, that's the most secure way. If you want to talk about doing anything secure, just unplug the internet from your whatever device it is, and that's the most secure way. Because like I said, everyone's always looking at what's going on. But
the internet from like your phone, for example.
on your phone, you do have an option to turn off the data from the towers and just make it so that only phone calls can come through. So no text messages would be able to come through or anything like that. And you also, there's a button for Wi-Fi. Make sure your Wi-Fi is turned off. It's,
Yeah.
you know, if you want to be.
Because my family lives in Missouri and like
I
when
see.
my mom was really ill, getting ready, you know, passing away.
Mhm.
I only got text messages because they didn't want to talk at the time.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah.
right? It's, it's, right? You almost, it's like, why would you want to cut everything off? Um, another safe way of doing things rather than just unplugging from the internet is also just to uh, restart your computer. So if you have a fresh restart, anything that was kind of saved, everything had to re-upload and everything's starting fresh. And then, so like maybe you want to do your banking, you can turn it on from a fresh start, do your banking, and then you can shut it right down, because then websites were passing through things. One time I accidentally tried to pay a fast track payment for going on a bridge. I typed it in wrong and it gave me some malicious site. I didn't recognize I didn't recognize something was off because it was asking me too many questions for, just trying to pay a bill, right? And so I went directly to the other site and pay it all off. Well, long after that, the credit card I used to pay that bill off got hacked. And
Yeah.
partly because I went on the wrong website before.
Because there's toll bridges that you can't change,
Right,
because there's nobody there to pay.
Right.
Or anything.
right,
And I know, excuse me, the one to Benicia is
Right.
that way. You
Right.
can't avoid it.
right, right,
It's like, okay, so you go in to pay it, and it's like, if you use your credit card, it gets hacked into.
right. And so you got to make sure you spell it right. And like I said, if you go on the wrong website, it should be a .org
Mm-hmm.
or not, or .gov. Okay, see you later. Website. And if it's not, if it's bouncing around to something else, it doesn't look government based at all, then, then just leave. But like I said, you might want to just shut everything down, restart the computer and turn everything back on. You might be okay if you close your web browser in the first place, not how.
Well, I might need to change my phone in because of it. My phone is.
Oh, really?
It's really bad.
Huh.
Because it's got everybody who comes in on there. Seems like I don't even.
Okay, so it looks like when I reached for my phone, I turned off my microphone and the rest of the class stopped being recording. So I'll just give you a quick overview of what had happened. And you can always, if you don't like this quick overview, you can always watch the other video on that'll record for Corning in a couple days. So what I ended up showing in the video or in the class or telling the people was, if you clear your phone and all its apps, there's the button to show all the apps, and you hit close all, and you also hit close all the notifications. It should try to clear all the active programs running on your phone. And if that doesn't work, you can always, restart the phone. But again, always to make sure your phone is running well, you're not using up all the battery, and you're able to do what you want to do. So let's see here. Skipping ahead. As far as passwords go, maybe you have seen this image, or maybe you haven't, but in this video you see a graph of how long the password is and the variety of letters you use. So whether it's numbers only, letters and numbers, lowercase letters, uppercase letters, or even if you include symbols. The more numbers you have and the more variety of numbers you have, the more difficult it is for a person to hack if they don't know what it is. You start off with, of course, the lower you have, it says that someone can look at it instantaneously, but it seems like a good balance of having about 12 characters and a combination of uppercase, lowercase letters and numbers and special characters. You'll be doing very well. And of course, using passwords more frequently than never. is always a good practice as well. Now, as far as if you wanted to learn more about computers, our own computer hall in Willows, there's also one in Orland, but there's a computer study hall that's on Thursdays. It has a variety of skills you can learn there. It's open to adults from 2 to 4 on Thursdays in the afternoon. Not only I, but also my guest has had a hard time connecting with the people. But if you'll see in a moment here, there'll be a phone number. You just contact the phone number that's on this flyer, and they'll be more than happy to sit down with you. If you bring your device, you can sit down with them and get those skills figured out and learn something new. They were quite helpful. Again, unfortunately, getting in contact with them was a little on the difficult side. Now, as far as doing emails, once you log in, go ahead and type an address, put a subject line, and try to write the rest like a formal letter, even though many people just type in one sentence as a response. Maybe if it's a reply, that's okay, but emails are supposed to be written formally, where you have who you're writing to, the body text, and then your closing remarks. As for attaching files, you just hit the little paper clip and select what you want. Our guest had a hard time of it looks like trying to create a PDF, not so much attach it. I guess I'll have to work with her later on that. But you should be able to attach pretty much any file you want that's under 10 megabytes. You can try to attach more, but it probably won't go through. And that was pretty much it. The ways you can make a PDF in Microsoft Office, you can save the document to a PDF, or you could have it suggested be printed out as a PDF, or you can actually go to a website and just have the document be converted from a Word document to a PDF. So there's a variety of different ways. I know for older computers, as it's not built into the Microsoft operating system, where converting any document to a PDF is not in there. I've tried downloading third-party apps, and they kind of work, but I haven't had enough success for it where I actually use it. So that's there, but as she was saying, maybe new computer is the best option. So I probably might even suggest that in the notes in the future. But of what would be a good basic office use, a laptop to use, what would be the system requirements, and what would be one suggestion? But anyways, that should be enough to finish up this lesson. Again, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and contact me. And I hope this video lesson was of some help for you. Bye.